Welcome to In the Know with Steph and Joe. In the Know with Steph and Joe is all about small business development. These two entrepreneurs bring real-life experience, laughter, and, well, just a ton of knowledge on how to build your small business and make it thrive. After all, this is your creation. Now learn how to make it sing. In the Know with Steph and Joe airs Fridays at 3 p.m. right here on 216 The Net. Like, follow Steph's Books and Restoration One of Cary, along with 216 The Net on Facebook, and subscribe to the 216 The Net YouTube channel.
What are we talking about today?
So we're talking about operating at other people's paces. So that could be, shut up.
Just another quick shout out to our fabulous sponsors of this show, Restoration One of Cary and Steph's Bookkeeping Services. Check them out at Restoration One of Cary, actually restoration1.com and stephsbooks.com. You know, it's been a while since we've had Steph's tips as well, but I'm just...
Yeah, I should bring those back.
You should.
Somebody's had the tips.
But so, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Grandma.
But so that could be either, you know, when you're climbing the corporate ladder as an employee, operating at other people's paces. That could be you as a small business owner. I mean, it could even be like you as a parent.
Or anybody working with anybody else. My immediate thought would be, you know, two people are lift up a dresser and go to carry it upstairs or down a hallway, and one person is moving faster than the other, right? Like moving that dresser up and down the stairs is going to be very awkward and different than if you're moving in sync and at the same speed.
Yeah, I'm the same.
That would be my most immediate thought on this topic. No?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, because you're just an ant and you like to carry heavy stuff, but, you know.
Well, that's true. I don't.
But it's also like if Steph were trying to explain debits and credit bookkeeping to me or something, and she's like, "Bop, bop, 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 bop," and I'm like, carry the one, right? I mean, that's irritating, right? When you get that story.
Irritating to you. Is that irritating to her as well?
No, very.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. Well, so let's start with just the basics, right? You're trying to lift something and you're moving. Is there a way to communicate it where you can say, hey?
So I feel like what your example is more of like working together to walk down at the same pace, same path.
Same speed.
To complete the same task.
Moving
but
the same speed.
What I'm saying is that we are two separate things.
Entities.
Like if I was carrying one couch down a hallway and you were carrying two couches down a hallway is what I'm saying. Like, and then if I attempted to operate at your pace and carry two couches down the hallway, I potentially could injure myself in a manner that would put me out of the game.
That's good.
And then you carry 0 couches down the hallway.
Right. So it's just that, so that's kind of where we're going with it. It's not about teamwork and team building and working together and matching pace. It's if I attempted to look at you from an outsider looking in, then
communication style or I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because like, you know, like I only see like from the outside, like you only see my business from the outside. You see, like, you know that I have X amount of employees, you know that I have some bookkeeping clients, and you only see it from, and we have cool shirts. So you only see.
I have some of those cool shirts.
Right. So you only see it from the outside. From the inside, you don't know how many clients I actually have.
How successful you are.
And you don't know like how much like debt I'm riddled with. You don't know how much capital backing I have to expand my business. Like if you tried to open up a bookkeeping business, I'm saying, and you were like, oh, I like Steph's model. Or if I wanted to open up a studio and I'm like, I like Kent's model of his business and I want to do this. I don't know what it's taken Kent every step of the way and every financial hurdle that it's taken him to get to where he is now at his level of success that I would like to have.
That to me is the epitome of when people say you're lucky. You got your own business. What, Mom? I don't have 26 in that shirt. Oh, Mom does not have a shirt.
She has a Steph's bookkeeping hoodie, though.
Oh, see, I don't have a hoodie, Mom. Okay, so either way, this is where I'm going to say, that's when people tell me, you know, oh, you're lucky, you got your own business, you know, you get to do your own thing, you get to whatever, and you go, well, no, that took a lot of work.
Right.
You don't know the background of what I did or what somebody did to get to where they're at.
Everybody's an overnight success after 10 years of hard work.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. Right. So that's where I always feel as though, you should always pay your mother off with great swag.
Pardon.
And I'll make sure your mother gets some of our swag because she needs some of our swag.
I've got some good resto ones. Right?
Yeah. Second,
you have the OG hat.
I do, and that hoodie.
Yeah.
I have that hoodie too.
Yeah, these are great hoodies. Second, I think that you definitely have to understand that people are always going to judge you right off the get-go. And if that's the case, are they really understanding what you're doing? And if they do that, fine, let them judge. I'm great. I'm moving on.
Right.
So, I'm not worried about that. I guess.
So there's always a trade of energy, right? And in this interaction, I'm trading my energy with you. You're trading. Joe comes in naturally a little bit more energized than I am at 3 p.m. And then that picks up my energy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It could be 6 a.m.
I understand. I just use 3 p.m. Okay. Right.
Glad you specified a time. However, let's
in sports and basketball, I try to teach my team that as well. I want the other team to match our energy, because if we try to match theirs, we don't play the same. Right. Mm-hmm. So when we're operating at other people's pace, whether it's faster or slower, it's not good for us, and it's irritating for them.
That's when you're trying to defeat somebody.
No. So like if you're like, hey, I need some help with the piano, taking apart the piano, right? If I try to match your energy, I'll probably hurt myself. Right? Just because
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not judging you.
Right?
I feel you're
if you
capable
tried to match
human.
My pace, you're like, come on, I gotta.
That's fact. That is fact.
Right?
I will definitely.
You're like, come on, KJ, it's a screw guy, right? I mean,
like, you're reading me inside my head right now.
Right?
Kent's having flashbacks to hold the flashlight.
Shine it over here. Shine it right here.
Right. So, I think in business it's the same way. We try to mimic other businesses. So if I was a bookkeeping service, I would try to say, "Ooh, how did Steph got there quick?" Well, I don't know her grind, but I'm like, I just got to go out and get the same kind of customers as she does.
Competitors look at it that way.
Yeah.
What about if you're talking with like people you're right, like you have a client and you need to match are you trying to match your clients, or are you trying to be at your energy level and your client has to
Tony Robbins says if you want to be successful, you shadow them. So they talk slow, you talk. They talk with a little southern.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I
try to match their energy.
You do.
Yeah.
For clients.
Yeah.
When it comes to competitors though, 2 shits to the wind, my competitor. I'm plowing through. I'm doing what I
think you should always be aware of your direct competitors. You should always be aware of what they're doing and the new things and all of that. But that may or may not fit your business model. So I'm not saying to mimic or copy or any of that. It's just like when Rich and I first started Steph's books, he was looking and reading and following all of these podcasts and things on these bookkeeping companies. And a lot of them had been in business for 10 plus years. They were at a certain level of success. And so, like, trying to take that without...
He's such a musclehead and a geek. It's like the perfect combination of man and testosterone. That's just...
Oh, my God. So, like, to try and take a startup company that doesn't even have one client to then mirror a company that has gone through the struggles that you have to go through with the good, the bad, and the indifferent, with, you know, throwing shit at the wall and seeing like, okay, does this work? Oh, I got my business cards. Now people are going to call. I went to this networking event, or I did this, or I did that. And I'm trying this. And, oh, this policy with my staff got me sued, so don't do that. And then, you know, so it's just like you have all of these different things that you go through to then come out on the other side, and then you start operating at a more well-oiled machine. It's just like the same thing when you're like dating someone. I feel like those first few years of business is like dating, determining if it's really what you want to commit to.
But are you ever really comfortable when you're dating, right? Like, it seems like you hit that nice little comfortable, you know, humming along stage, and then all of a sudden you go, then the honeymoon's broken. What? So there's going to be a change. You have kids. You buy a house.
Right. Well, it's the same thing like with your business. Whatever. Like all of a sudden you have your business and things are going decently well, and then you get employees, and then you get a building, and then you get I don't know, another building, or you acquire a business, or you do, like, there's always something that's going to evolve and change your business path, but it's just you do it at your own pace. Like, I couldn't operate at some of those other people's paces when Rich was when we were first starting out. Like, he wanted to go from 0 to 100 in a fraction of a second, and I'm like, no.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't do that. Like, everybody that knows me, I'm very like risk adverse. I don't like a lot of change all at once. I have commitment issues. So I can't operate at that pace. Like, now I might be slightly more aggressive than I used to be.
Say, you're pretty aggressive to me.
But like starting out, like, no, like, let's get like a couple. Let's see how this goes. All right, let's do a couple more and see how this goes. Like, I don't want to put myself in a position to fail.
Right. I don't, and I've got to get going here shortly, but I would say that it's never good operating at other people's pace. Take driving, for instance. Get behind somebody who operates that vehicle just about 5 miles an hour slower than you. Right? You have to operate at their pace.
Since I bought the new truck, I drive way slower. Schmody.
Yeah.
Happy Friday. Hi, Derek.
Oh, and by the way,
hello, Derek. Happy Friday.
By the way, Linda and Steph and all the other mothers, happy Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, we're coming up. Carrie, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Derek,
my mother.
Day. I don't know.
My mother. Derek's mother to Derek's mother and Derek's wife.
Right. But that's why I say, and in business, it's the same way. If I were to start a restoration and try to run as fast as you, I couldn't do it. Right? I couldn't do it.
There you go. Drew says organic growth creates stability. So that's a fair point. Now
that's what she said.
That was my nickname in college. Thank you very much. So if you were to go and try to mimic somebody else, now if you were to actually go and try and mimic somebody else, some people, and I beg to differ with, you can't do it, but some people can mimic other people and be more successful. Right? Some people can run at the same pace as other people and be successful, or just as successful, or whatever you want to say. So,
like, if you and someone else wanted like a race to $1 million, okay?
Yes.
Then you're gonna go and do like this way, and then that person's going to go that way. You guys will never go in the same direction because you're not the same person.
So many variables. I get what you're saying means that
like you guys both can race to the $1 million,
correct,
but you won't be on the same path to get to that $1 million. It might take one person a month or two longer than the other person, but you both got there. And I don't understand why there would need to be I'm a competitive person by nature, but this not so much, because I feel like it could destroy you financially.
Okay. I agree with that. So now
that's too scary for me.
That's to me and how you measure success. Because I can easily say, yes, I got to $1 million. When my wife and I started our business, we are a franchise. I went and did one of our, we were past the nicknames in college, but that was hilarious. Tripod. Sure.
That was.
So
he's just got short legs.
Yeah. The problem is he has no legs, so it's really just like 3 hockey pucks. If you were to go to run down and do a race, and everybody were to be on the same path, our success is really about, are you longevity? Are you, in my mind, right?
Yeah, I don't need to be first.
$1 million is, yeah, exactly. So when we started our business, there were 4 or 5 other owners that started the same time as us, maybe 6. 7 years later, none of them are in business. One or 2 of them, maybe 3 of them hit $1 million quick. And got to $1 million, but they are no longer in business. So that's where I'm like, what's your level of success, right? If your race is to $1 million, well, if that's the goal and that's it, and I win $1 million, well, sure, I'm going to race you and beat you to $1 million. But if the race is longevity,
$1 million and staying in business for 10 more years,
well, then there's there's multiple factors that we got to kind of bring into play here. That's kind of where I'm like, what's the race to? Why are we racing? What are we racing for?
So Linda says, why do you want to keep up with the Joneses? You don't have to run very fast, a very slow pace. Why don't you want to go on your own path and your own pace? Why are we trying to do something?
100%. I am so fast paced. And most people know that about me, and they understand that I'm fast paced, but Carrie actually finds it discouraging when I need to do a big project, because I will make what seems like 0 progress over the entire project. And then all of a sudden it's done. And it's a piece of art, right? Or whatever she says that it describes whatever I've done, right? She goes, this is amazing, it's great, or whatever. But she's so frustrated with me because I show 0 progress right up until the very end. Mm-hmm. And then I go, boom, it's done.
Well, Drew brings up a good point. Ground up business, you purchase a pre-existing business and you can jog. So in other words, you buy a pre-existing condition or pre-existing.
Somebody's buying insurance.
Wow, somebody's been
pre-existing business. You gotta jump right in at their pace.
Mm-hmm.
You can't slow down.
Right.
You can. I don't know. See, I always have to argue.
Can't,
you can
there's
go your own pace. You said it. You can go your own pace.
If you buy a business that's up and operating with a staff, with a client base, and there's already expectations on deliverables, you're coming in hot. There's no let me dip my toe in and get acclimated if entrepreneurship is for me. That's it. You're an entrepreneur. Let's go.
But okay, if you're purchasing it though, aren't you purchasing it knowing that the business is up and running and you have to just step right in? And
maybe I see people all the time buy random businesses because it's just something they want to diversify their portfolio. They don't know anything about that industry, and they're relying on the inmates to run the asylum, and they're just going to be offhands owner.
That's where
which is
they're going at their own pace, but they're going at their own pace.
I mean, that's a game that I can't do because I'm too much of a control freak.
That's what I'm saying, though, is they're going at their own pace. They may buy a business and it's already up and running and the business is jogging. That doesn't mean they need to jog. They're sitting in the car next to it, driving along, going, "You guys good? Need some water?" No? How about Kool-Aid?
$5 for a mess.
$5 for the guy at this road stop the light.
I'm sorry.
Green room.
But it also depends, right? So if you're like, I would go into a branch, a bank branch when it was bad, right? So I could come in with a different energy and inject my energy in my pace because it was failing.
Did you so injecting yourself?
Yeah.
How when you inject yourself into somebody else, do you feel their reciprocation when you get them energized?
There's especially when you're going in, if their pace is very slow and they're dying, right? And you come in, they watch you for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks to see if you let down on that pace. And when they realize you're not letting down on that pace, then they go, "Oh, I guess this all right. This is different, right? Let's go." Because by now we've wore the warden down because the inmates, are trying to run it.
Right.
So, but if and I haven't had the opportunity to come in when it's hot, it's at the top, award-winning hot stuff, right?
Yes.
And it's a dead sprint. I've never had to do that, right? So what's that energy? They're like, if I come in with my regular energy, which is 2 steps below what their pace is, it's not going to work either.
So, okay. Is that all based? Do you think the pace and energy is all based on the absolute tippy top? Because I have an example of pace and energy. And this is why one of the reasons I have the drive, was because of one human who told me one thing, and this was what I have sort of lived by to be successful. And it has to do with the pace.
I gotta get out of here. Lay down.
All right, ready? So when I was in insurance, he said, "Hey, come in and look up at our competitors. And if our competitors' lights are on, you're in too late." He goes, 7:00 in the morning. Great. Get in at 6:30. Come in at 6:30, look up, their lights are on, you're in too late. And it wasn't until like 4:30 in the morning that I discovered my competitors' lights were not on.
And then you discovered that it was like motion censored and they had rats?
Nope. No.
It was the cleaning crew.
It was the cleaning crew. Cleaning crews come in the evening. But so I literally was in at 4:30 in the morning and would work and get crap done. And that was my pace. And everybody that I worked with goes, "I can't keep up with you, so I'm happy to ride with you." So it's like setting your pace is that like it. And if I set my pace, now officially you want to work with me, come work with me. You don't have to run at my pace. And I understand that. I don't have to work at your pace or whoever's pace. I'm working at my own.
Right.
But I understand that you're not going to hit my pace and I'm not going to hit your pace.
Right.
Yeah? Yeah.
So it's just like when like some of the other some of the other small business owners that I've talked to, that they have, all of us tend to have friends that are in like similar industries and, people that you kind of shoot the shit with, and other restoration owners. I know other accounting owners.
Totally.
And it's like you guys sit there and talk about your businesses. You all started approximately about the same amount of time. And when you start comparing notes of where they're at compared to where you're at, sometimes you're ahead of them, sometimes they're ahead of you. But it's like you can't sit there and dwell on it because it's going to give you like the business blues, which is like the baby blues, like where you have like you can't dwell on it because you need to take a step. Like, why would that take away from the level of success that you have in the pride and empowerment that you feel when you talk about your business. Like, why would you allow something so stupid to take away from that for you? Because nobody else puts that on you but you. Like, it's a you thing internally. It's not society.
I totally agree. And I think that there might be like this misnomer where many people think pace versus variables that come into play. Nobody, right? There's a guy that started his restoration one, and he did like $1 million. There's a few people that have done $1 million in the first year. They're still open. They've been open for a while. They're doing great numbers. But they had different variables that led into their success.
Right.
If I always go, if I was in that situation and I had those variables, would I have been able to come out the same way? Likely. Do I care? Nope, because this is what I was given.
Right.
Right. So I think it's all about really looking at your situation and knowing I can only deal with what I have to deal with, and I can run as fast and as hard as I want to run.
Right.
And that to me is where most people that I deal with understand my fast pace, but I don't have to slow down if I don't want to.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of people just don't realize, I don't think, well, one, like, first and foremost, the drive and the ambition and the amount of time and the hours that certain people put into their businesses to achieve that level of success. And then also the other factor is capital. Like, you don't know how much backing I have to grow my business. And while I might choose to front load and invest outrageous amounts of money into marketing or staffing or this or that, because I feel like that's going to pay off in the end, just like when you're investing. And once your investment portfolio hits a certain dollar amount and years in investment, then all of a sudden it skyrockets and you're like, oh, this is great.
Whoopity-doo.
You know, you
Right.
just have to gut through that tough
First
like,
little bit. Right.
You have to gut through the weeds of it. And not everybody, one, has the financial ability to gut through the weeds, and two, like the balls to gut through the weeds. Because I know for me personally, there's been times where I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is going to work out. I need to put my resume out. I need a backup plan. I need maybe like to get a job, and then maybe I'll make this like a part-time thing. And like, I panicked. And like when I had to fully commit into being in the business 100%, and Rich is like, no, shut up. Like, we're doing this.
Yes.
And so I just needed a little kick in the ass, and it was fine.
Carrie and I, when we started our business, we went 1.5 years without a paycheck. It's a different mindset. That's a different pace that you have to get.
Right. And not many people would
get through that.
Able, not alone able, but also willing to be able to like do that. But then also like the mental,
Carrie was not mentally ready. Oh, right.
Because I feel like Carrie is to you what Rich is to me. Like Rich like really sets that pace and drives the bus and pushes and pushes and pushes. And I'm a bit more conservative. Carrie is a bit more conservative like me. And you're like, okay, let's go, 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 go. And it's interesting because you guys, like in each of our businesses, we play the opposite roles to the stuff. And so it's just,
100%.
When we did the spouses show, it was just interesting to get all of that.
Hear that. So I met this this person. Her name is Vivian. She lives down in North Carolina, and she is going through her condo flooded.
Ooh.
Right. And so one of her friends, coworkers knows me. And so she is going through this, and her pace in her mind of the way this should handle in a claim is like, well, I want to know this. Why isn't this? What about this? What about that? What about this? Right. And I'm going, relax, calm down, wait. Oh, nothing happened? Great. You're good. Don't worry about it. Oh, you need to say this. Right. And so I think she's getting it. Her anxiety is there, but she's understanding and figuring it out, how to work at the pace of an HOA board.
Right.
Right. Like there's certain things that you may be running through in your brain, but you have to understand that not everybody's operating at that same speed. And that's where I think a lot of people have the tough time. I know I do, because I may send something and be like, where's your response? Why aren't you responding?
But it's also
at 4:30 in the morning.
Right. Well, yeah, because like sometimes I'll get like emails or text messages from clients early in the morning, or I'll send out text messages or emails early in the morning. And it's not that I expect anybody to be up at 2 or 3 in the morning, like thinking about things and being like, oh, here's a solution to this, or let's do this.
Right.
Like, it's fine. But it's just like from talking to some other small business owners in the green room before the show, that it was, so I know a few business owners where they started an industry together. They're open approximately at the same time, but one person is doing a little bit more in business than the other person. But at the end of the day, like, how much can you personally take on, like physically, mentally, financially? And if you're married with small children, but then you have a friend that started a business that's single and has no children, it's much easier, in my opinion, for them to dive in and
Capacity. You're talking
their capacity is just
Yep.
different. Like
Totally.
me being a mom and a small business owner and a wife and, et cetera, like my time gets split.
Or the fact that like, so like Carrie and I started our business and it was both of us 100% into our business. You still don't have Rich 100% in your business.
Right.
Right. Like he has another avenue that he focuses in.
Right.
And that's where I think to a lot of people there, everybody sees a business and thinks 100% equal business to business. Not really. Right. There's different variables where you may have two owners that are 100% in, one owner in, one owner out. Right. Like,
right. Or you have like a silent partners.
Complete absentee owners.
Right.
Right. There's such a difference that you could play into with that. When it comes to that kind of pace, do you feel that as an employee or an employer, you feel the pace difference with some of your people or whatever, or a client, and that you have to cut the line because it's not going to work because of the pace difference?
We've cut the line with clients because they don't put the same priority on our services comparative to their other subcontracted services. So like if I need them to respond to me and whatever, since I'm not technically a money generating subcontractor, I get moved to the back of the bus sometimes. And so
that makes so
if they can't put me at the same level as their other subcontractors, it makes it difficult for us to do our work successfully, to be able to provide them financials, to be able to potentially make their next business moves and steps.
Is that pace or is that importance?
I don't know. I think like it's
same thing.
In some ways it could be both. Like I feel like you are what is that called?
Fucked?
No.
Sorry. Not sorry.
You're creating like the funnel and you're bottleneck. There you go. Bottlenecking. You're bottlenecking the part of your business then, because you need to know your financials in order to get loans. You need to know your financials in order to pay people. You need to know your financials in order to know if your projects are good. Like there's a lot of things and benefits.
Pay yourself, get your money.
So just, if you're somebody that wants to, is in growth mode, like you need to be prepared and financially aware in order to do that.
Okay. So here's what I would say. Is when we're talking pace, you said growth mode, right? To me, this is all this is all kind of synonymous with like an engine and driving a vehicle, right? Or anything with gears. You're in for some people are okay with Joe on a truck. One guy owns his own business. That's all. He puts it in first gear and just lets the clutch out and just clicks along at the idle speed of
and that
first
person
gear.
could totally have a successful, comfortable
life. Correct.
Right. So then, it's not that you have to be like a $10 million business to be comfortable.
So
it's just that like I get bored and then I need to see what's next. It's like you're the same way though. Like you have the ADD and it's like, okay, cool. We hit this milestone. Like, let's see what's this thing. Oh,
shifting gears.
Well, if I tweak this on the cog on my machine, or if I do this, we'll just put some alcohol in instead of regular gasoline and let's see what happens.
Fucking A, Cotton. I'm all about it. So,
it's like that kind of stuff. Like, so like, I feel like you and I could have the same like hustle and see that same thing, but because we're in such different industries, like you and I dollar for dollar will never be the same.
We're apples to pears.
Right.
Yeah.
But like our pace and our like
is go. So if that's what I'm asking is, do you meet people that are, you could tell they're in second gear and they're comfortable in second gear?
Right. Like somebody that wants their business to be a hobby and not a business. I respect that, but you're not my people.
Palmdale, California is calling me. I mean, what that's for.
But you know, like if you want your business to be a hobby and you don't want it to be a full-on business, that's cool. That's great for you. I'm happy that that's what brings you happiness, but you're not my people and you're not my like people that I will come to ask business advice and bounce ideas off when I'm struggling. I need people that are operating at my pace, whatever their industry is, to bounce those ideas off of.
So if my pace is, and this is the way I look at it, is I could be driving a vehicle, and if my foot is on the floor of the gas, and let's call this an automatic, so that way we don't have to worry about shifting gears, okay? My foot's on the gas. I am accelerating at full pace, right? I'm going gear to gear to gear to gear.
Right.
Let's say that's part of my business and I want to accelerate at, we'll just say half gas, right? I'm still going to be accelerating gear to gear to gear, just not nearly as fast. Right. But when I hit first gear, or I'm about to put it into first gear, I'm actually looking and talking to the people that are in first gear and going, what are you doing in first gear? Oh, you do this, this, and this? Great. That way, when I put it into drive, I can get through first gear as quick as possible. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. And then I'm already in first gear. I'm talking to the people in second gear.
Right. Like, so like you're the type of person that I wouldn't have been able to talk business with when I was in first gear, because I didn't want to move on to second gear as quickly as you. But now that I feel like you and I are both in like fourth or whatever gear, I feel like now it makes sense because now we're at a similar pace and we're looking at the next.
How many gears do we have on this goddamn vehicle?
I don't know. I don't know how many gears vehicles have.
Now, like,
isn't 10. It 4? The H? Is that 3?
That's 3 on the tree. 3 on the tree is so old.
Shut up.
4 on the floor? You 4 on the floor? You 4 on the floor with a reverse? I'm okay with that. That's a solid one.
But I'm just saying, like, now that you and I are at the same pace, I feel like when you and I talk shop and we talk about our businesses and the expansion and the next steps for things that we're looking at, whether it's in our businesses or whether it's just professionally, it's a much different conversation.
So, okay, once you realize...
But I'm not saying I left those other people in the dust.
No,
they just aren't.
No.
I just can't compare notes with them anymore because now we don't have a similar notebook.
Well, hang on. But I still feel as though even though their pace may be slower, I could still pull nuggets, right?
Sometimes.
We talked about nuggets. So in my mind, though, all right, if you meet somebody that you can tell their pace is to shift gears, even if they're in first gear, I still want to talk to them because I can tell that their mindset is go.
It depends.
Even though they may be hungry, a few gears behind me,
right?
But that's what I'm asking is
right. You have to gauge you have to read the room.
What's their pace? What's their pace?
Because like if somebody's just starting and they're in first gear and you've been established and you're in fourth gear, you could help bring them up to fourth gear if they're hungry and that's their goal and expectation. But we're not saying that everybody has to get there and be that and do that. It's just a matter of operating in a way.
Well, if you could tell they're hungry enough.
Right.
If they're hungry enough, I'm going for it. I'll help them all day long. Thank you, Joe.
It's Gabriella.
She is into go mode.
Yeah.
There you go. Go mode. I love that.
So
that's so fast paced go mode, right?
Right.
In my mind, you're either in go mode or you're not.
So when you first started your Restoration 1, did you feel
I got an analogy for it. I'm either pushing the A button on the Nintendo controller or I'm pushing the B button.
B is always faster.
No, B's the brake.
No, B always makes you run faster in Mario.
I'm talking about like a stupid driving game.
Oh.
Gas, brake. Gas, brake.
I only played Mario.
Brake. It doesn't matter. All I'm saying is gas and brake. Gas. It's not like a little joystick controller where you can toggle it up a little faster and then slow it down. Right. You're either your full speed or you're not your full speed.
Right. So when you first started Restoration 1 and you bought in and you did that, did you always feel comfortable in a room of big sharks? Like when you went to your conventions and like, so when you went year 1 to your Restoration 1 retreat and training and, you know, your team building thing that you guys do every year, did you feel the same way that you feel now, you know, 6 years in or 7 years in?
I actually have no less confidence than I did back then.
You just feel like when you walked in, you felt the same way.
I know who I am.
Whether you had like $5 in sales or $1 million in sales,
whether I'm the flea on the bird on the hippo's ear or I'm the hippo,
right?
It doesn't matter. I'm gonna have the same
BDE
bravado. I hate BDE because Carrie and I always laugh about BDE and how much people come in with the BDE. I will happily tell jokes, be gregarious, and myself. I am a naturally gregarious human, so I have no problem being that. But if people want to sit back and talk and be the life of the party, I'm going to let them do that as well. I don't need to be the face of the party, but I happily could tell a story or two.
Do you feel like you felt comfortable in that room with the big sharks?
Give me the big dicks in the first day.
So do you feel like
the big dicks now? I have no problem walking in and shaking any of their hands.
But do you feel like you feel comfortable because you were in go mode and you knew that you were going to be that guy in the room, whatever, down the road? No? Nope. It's just no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like you don't...
The reason that I don't feel...
Because I feel like sometimes people gravitate towards the people that either match their energy or match where they would like to be in the future when they grow up. So...
When I grow up, I want to be a real boy.
Right. So like when your business grew up to that point, you had already been conversating. It's just the same thing when you said that when you were about to go, you had already had those conversations with people that were in first gear and you were already planning your steps to get into second. So when you go into a room, do you feel more comfortable in a room with like bigger businesses because you know that that's going to be where you're going to be in a few years? Not saying that you're trying to measure dick and trying to be like an arrogant person in the room, but when people don't have any intentions of growing their business and they just want something to be like a one man or one woman show they don't tend to go and speak to the bigger businesses because they just can't relate and compare.
I'll
like
say
stories or like struggles or successes or this or that. Like it doesn't relate. It's just like trying to convey stuff to your single friends with no kids when you're married and have 2 younger children. And it's like you're trying to tell them something and they're like,
oh my God, my Uber driver didn't deliver me at the right block.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, fuck you. I just got threw up on at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like
I was holding my kid up and he threw up down my throat.
So it's just like, I feel like there's certain situations and scenarios where you just can't relate.
I'll say this. Most of what I have done my entire life, it doesn't matter if when I sold shoes, I managed a shoe store. I had one of the small shoes stores in our company. We were like bottom 25th percentile. It didn't matter. I still would walk into a room and go talk to the people that were slinging the $1 million, $2 million, $3 multi-million-dollar stores. I guess for me, I just look at personality and I'm going to be drawn into whoever's genuine and real. Even if you don't sell $1 million or you're not that big company, but if you have that real, personality, I'm happy to talk to you.
But that's like we're gonna team, but let's just like
if
you
we're gonna start talking
like,
business,
right?
I'm going to the big dogs, and I have no problem walking in, being the smallest in the company, and talking to the biggest in the company. I have zero problems walking in and shaking hands with the president of the company. I will talk to the biggest dick in the room, and happily make jokes and be myself. That's where I think most people are always afraid, is nobody wants to walk in and be themselves. And therefore you're not seen as going at the right pace. Because if you go at your own pace and you're yourself.
Yeah. I mean, like when I first started Steph's books, I mean, I've said it before on the show, like that I thought that I had to be in this mold of accountants. So I had to look like an accountant and talk like an accountant and not lean into the fact that a lot of people view me as not your average accountant because I've just a little bit more extroverted and stuff than some accountants. So I would go and I would have like business casual attire. I would wear makeup. I would do my hair and I would go and I would feel so uncomfortable. And I feel like people could like tell that I felt uncomfortable because
you should go back to that.
It wasn't like my normal.
It's like getting a hug.
Yeah, it just wasn't my vibe, And like now that I'm wearing like
getting a hug.
Yeah, so like now I'm wearing like Steph's Books t-shirts and I have jeans on and I'm more comfortable. I could be myself and talk to people in a room.
I put a suit on and people are like, Joe, what?
Like if you came in with a suit, like I would think you came from a funeral.
Funeral or wedding.
Yeah. There's like I wouldn't think like.
Well, that's the funny thing is,
but that's not how I'm used to seeing.
This is my pace and my speed, right?
Right.
This is my speed and my pace. So a hoodie, a do-rag, whatever, a hat. I need some kind of head covering, jeans, and that's really all I need. This is my pace. If you see me not doing this, you're like, something's wrong. Because I feel like once you get into your routine, your pace, and you're clicking along, it's like so easy. And people then know when things are different, things are wrong, right? And it's a lot easier to tell that. So I will always wear hoodies and be my pace, loud, obnoxious. I have no problem with it.
But do you feel like, so I don't feel, I mean, maybe it's just different in this world and climate compared to what it was when our parents were our age. But like, I don't feel like I need to put on a suit or like a woman's like,
event.
Right. Like, I don't feel like I need to do that. Like in order to close
certain events,
the deal.
Oh,
like
correct.
I feel like to grow my business and to do this and to do that, It's what I have to offer and my knowledge about accounting. My knowledge is not going to change whether I'm in jeans or I'm in dress slacks or a skirt or whatever.
Be clean, though.
Well, yeah, the shirt's has to be clean.
Well, I'm just saying, you don't want to be like that guy that we drove by on. You gave $5 to.
Oh my God, shut up. So what does my mom say? People are people. The job that they choose should make them any more or less than the person that they are.
Chris, thank you. Tell my wife that, please. Chris says that I need to add. Well, I think he's talking to me. He might be talking to you.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
He says that one of us needs to add face hair on again. I would assume it's me. I got rid of the beard. Steph really liked the mustache, but Carrie would never allow me to even come to bed with that thing on. But we've had some good times with. I'll do it again. Don't worry, Chris. It's coming around again.
You should send him the pictures you sent me.
I could do that. I'll have Carrie send it because she hasn't even seen him. She hasn't even seen him.
But yeah, so I feel like ultimately, everybody's going to operate and beat at their own drum in order to be successful. Because if I was...
Hang on. Is that a statement? Is that a fact? What are you saying? Because you said everybody should operate or beat at their own drum to be successful.
Right.
I think that is an actual fact. It is all
internal.
Don't beat somebody else's drum. Don't go at somebody else's pace.
Right.
Beat your own drum.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. So as
statement.
I agree with your mom, Steph, and I don't think that you need your hair back on your face, Joe Turner.
But Gabby thinks that you need your hair back on your face, Steph.
I could do it.
I don't want to see it.
But chicken. So, but it's just, I feel like it's no different than when you're driving. When you're driving and you're looking ahead and you're alert and you're aware, you're safe and you're fine and you're comfortable. When you start looking at the car next to you and what they're doing and what they have going on, it puts you at risk for an accident that could have been avoided. Because
so that's like paying attention to people around you and not looking forward. Gabby says no hair for Steph. She looks amazing the way she is now. I think I look amazing too. Come on, Chris, Gabby, come on. I'll be fine with hair on my face again.
So I think that when you're constantly looking, or the whole grass is greener on the other side analogy, is it really?
So going at your own pace, we're going to boil down to, you really just need to focus on what's ahead of you, what your goals are, and just do your thing.
Right.
As Carrie says, eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
You can only cut, bite, chew, and swallow as fast as you can go.
Right.
So just doing it at your own pace, you'll eventually get through the elephant.
Right. Because looking at let's say I was looking at another bookkeeping firm, and let's say they were about the same age as my firm, but they were doing $500,000 more than I am. So then my questions would be, well, how do I do that? When did they do that? What did they do to achieve that? How much money do they have?
How much money are they making out of that?
How much hours does the owner have to put in compared to the hours that I put in as an owner? How much time value is that? Am I able to still keep selling? What is their price per client acquisition, which is something that we talked about in the green room, versus, there's all these different factors and things that come into play that a lot of people don't think about when they're staring over the fence. What is Gabby saying?
She's saying that grass is greener on the other side is so dangerous.
Right.
Just be you.
Right.
So if we were to extrapolate or sum this all up, because we have some time to say what we learned today, I will say that I learned that when somebody says going at their pace, I am thinking about it as, what am I looking at and how do I get there on my own?
Right.
Not am I going as fast as somebody else? Because when I think pace, I always think of like, well, if you and I were to go to the same pace of walking, your legs are going to be moving way faster than my legs.
I will Marvin the Martian you.
The shit out of you.
Yeah. Just ask Rich's friends when we were walking through Vegas.
I'm not saying you can't.
They're like, she will put a pace on you.
I'm just saying that.
Well, yeah.
Your legs will be moving faster. So by that instance, you're actually moving at a faster pace than I am.
But it's also taking me more energy to move at that pace.
That's why you're going at a faster pace. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's my pace is my speed, my pace. But if I go at my pace and I'm comfortable and I know I have my foot on the gas.
Right.
Right. I'm not just putting it in first gear or second gear or whatever, letting my foot out the clutch and plump, 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 and then I start rolling along at the idle speed. No, I want my foot on the gas.
Right. I just feel like there is just so many unknown variables that would prevent me from wanting to operate at someone else's pace. While I, on the other hand, will welcome and receive in nuggets of information and advice and things like that from people that have gone down the path, seen the end of the path, came back and told me like, hey, when you hit this, don't do this.
Don't go down that fork in the road.
Do this.
Go left.
I went this way. Yeah. Unpleasant. This way, good. So
nuggets.
Yes, I welcome the bits of information and things like that. I welcome things like from talking to Kent and about the radio station. I welcome things talking to you about a restoration company, which are two very different businesses from bookkeeping. And I could take some of the things that you've implemented with your team and tweak it in a way that makes sense for my business. That doesn't mean I'm trying to operate at your pace. I just really felt that piece of information, knowing that you've already been down the path, has come back and helped me.
So nuggets are not pace. Nuggets are helping you to take your next step.
Right.
And keep on your pace.
I mean, I'm sure there is every single small business owner out there that has sat there and been like, well, hindsight is 2020. And if I would have known this, and this, I would be a bajillionaire because I wouldn't have wasted.
Put all my money in crypto, then sold when the son of, whatever.
I would have not had to go through those struggles. But I feel like going through those struggles is what has made me a more aware business owner. I wouldn't say a better business owner, but I am more aware.
Knowledgeable.
Yes.
Knowledge, even if it's bad knowledge, is still knowledge because that teaches you.
So,
if you learned, that teaches you what.
So what did you learn today? We have 3 minutes left.
Yes. I learned that if I stop at a stoplight and you're behind me, you will give a $5 to the person that's right next to you.
Okay. So what I learned today is that Joe is 100% Pavlov's dog. That's what I learned today.
Fair. 100%. Yep. Yes. I move at the pace of the feeding that I get. All the positive reinforcement makes me move at a certain pace. Well, what did Gabby say? Okay, well, I think I can go at my own pace, but I need to be aware that I might only be able to go so far. If I want to grow and go beyond my comfort zone, I might need to push myself more and maybe run at someone else's pace. That's a good point. I think that's almost a show topic we should bring up of being pushed beyond your comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like being a small business owner is all about being uncomfortable. You have to go do public speaking, which is something that not a lot of people like.
I don't mind.
You're a weirdo. So I'm just.
That's what I'm saying.
Or I shouldn't say that. You're an anomaly.
There's certain things that are uncomfortable to me versus other people, but
commonly amongst the common folk, Joe, public speaking is something that most people don't like to do, or sharing about themselves, or physical touch, or whatever the case may be, of getting beyond their comfort or risking.
So are we going to share about our personal lives and give a hug on our way out of the show?
No. Or, or getting, for me, it's financial comfort. Like, I like to maintain a certain lifestyle and be comfortable. And what I feel is comfortable might be different from, the next person, and so on and so forth. But getting out of my comfort zone is putting that at risk. But I've done it a few times, and so far I haven't become homeless, so I guess that's good. But sometimes definitely didn't pay off.
We're gonna
wasted tens of thousands of dollars.
This is clearly a job or a
show topic.
A show topic that we're going to talk about is getting out of your comfort zone, because we could talk about getting out of your comfort zone and then how that expands your comfort zone. Does your comfort zone, if you walk out of it, does that automatically make it just a slight bit bigger?
Right. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
So, next week we're bringing back a fan favorite topic of mixing friends in business or families in business.
I won't
remember. So I'm looking for a co-host to come on and join me. You can either click the link next week and come on via Zoom, or you can come into the studios here at the Tunyon Towers. But more to come. Watch for the next Facebook post, and you can comment and come and join and participate for that. So I guess have a good weekend. Happy Mother's Day.
Remember, no hugs.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks.
Peace, guys.
Bye.
Bye.